Welcome to the Pesky Report, a podcast for Red Sox fans.
Welcome back to our fourth episode of Pesky Report Presents Men of Tomorrow, where we will speak to various Red Sox minor league players from all across the system, from the Florida Complex League, Salem, Greenville, Portland, and Worcester. Today we've got with us outfielder Kier Meredith, currently between the Salem Red Sox and Greenville Drive. Not really sure where at the beginning of the season we're going to start, but I'm Ed Hand, and I'm joined by Hogdale. How are you doing, Hogdale? Well, Hogdale's doing something. How are you doing, Kier?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be on here tonight.
We're really happy to have you here. If you're listening to this and not watching it, Hogdale's kind of frozen in place right now, so slowly moving back to life. But no, we're real happy to have you here today. How's it going? How's the off season been so far?
It's been treating me well. I guess I've been home for a little over a month now. And so in the off season, I want to coach one day when I'm done playing. And so I get to coach a little bit, coach younger kids in the off season. So been busy with coaching and giving lessons and just hanging out with family and kind of catching up on normal life a little bit.
That's great. That's awesome to hear that you're able to kind of, that it's not this constant grind, that you can do a little bit outside of it. Where's home for you?
So originally I'm from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I actually live in Clemson. I went to Clemson, obviously. You can tell by the orange. But yeah, we've got a nice little setup back in Clemson where myself and a couple of other former players that are playing professionally, we're able to go back and use the facilities, and our old strength coach still trains us and everything. So that's kind of been the hub so far.
That's really cool. Who are some of the guys that you're playing with? Anybody we might have heard of?
Bryce Didocio, he's with the Angels organization. Adam Hackenberg's in the White Sox organization. Sam Weatherly comes back in town with the Rockies. There's probably right now so the first two guys I just named are in the Arizona Fall League. They'll be back in a couple of weeks, but there's probably a good 8 or 9 of us when everyone's back and settled in.
It's a real baseball school, Clemson. Like, they really seem to get excited about it there.
Absolutely. It's over the last couple of years, it's turned into more of a football school, obviously, as a lot of people have seen. But I've heard stories about the mid to early 2000s or the early to mid 2000s where baseball was kind of alpha on campus.
Which you don't hear about that as much, especially it's more towards the South. You don't hear about that a lot. So that's good. That must be cool playing for that kind of an audience.
Absolutely, it was a blast.
Now you grew up around there. Was Clemson always where you wanted to go to school when you were a kid?
No, so I was that not weird kid, but just typical kid. So I'm from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Funny enough, I remember there was a kid you probably have never heard of him, a guy named Bryce Sherman. He went to a school in the same city as I did. He went to South Carolina around 2010, 2011, played football. And at the time, football was kind of my main focus. And that was also around the time when South Carolina was one of those national championships. And so 10-year-old Kier told myself I was going to be a South Carolina Gamecock, which is our biggest rival. For those who were watching and didn't realize that, biggest rival. So for about 3 or 4 years, huge South Carolina fan, wanted to go to South Carolina. And then actually before that, I kind of fast forward a little bit. I was an LSU fan. I loved watching LSU football play, LSU baseball. Then I was a Gamecock for a couple years. And then Jameis Winston got to Florida State around 2013. And I was a huge Florida State fan for about 2 or 3 years. And then the recruiting process started, and Clemson was kind of peaking up or inching up towards the top of football. And I became a Clemson fan. So here we are, and I'm bleeding orange.
It's amazing how going to the place can really turn you around with that. I went to UMass, did not care anything about UMass, and now I just follow every single player that comes from there. It's when you become part of the community, it certainly helps out. But you played football also. I read that you were a 3-sport athlete. So what besides baseball and football, what was the third sport?
Track and field. So obviously track season in the South runs in the spring, but North Carolina, you have indoor track, which is a winter sport. And so I was able to compete in indoor track a little bit.
That's cool. I've never, because up here in Massachusetts, you don't hear as much about, I've never heard of indoor track. Are the events different for that?
Yep. So the track is obviously is indoor, hence the name. But the track is 200 meters instead of 400 meters. And so you have a 55 meter dash and a 60-meter dash, which kind of replaces a 100-meter dash. And then instead of a 400 indoor track, you have a 300-meter dash. And so I was a sprinter. And so those are the main two events that I know that are different from outdoor track. I'm sure the distance events vary as well, but I'm not too familiar with distance, so I'm not sure there.
So you've always been the fast kid then?
Yeah, I figured out I was pretty fast. It's funny enough. I've got a funny track story. So in seventh grade, it's the first year you can try out for sports, and I always thought I was the fast kid growing up. Well, my track coaches thought otherwise, and they put me on the 800 meters, and so. I'm a competitor naturally, and I went out and did my best. I think I finished third in the county that year and come back around for eighth grade. And they're like, yeah, you're fast, but, there's some guys here that are faster than you. And so we're going to put you back on the 800 meters. And it's funny enough, probably 2 or 3 weeks into the track season, one kid gets hurt. One kid is ineligible because of school. And they're like, all right, Kier, you're running the 100 meters today. First time ever, never practiced for it, and I broke the school record. First time I ever ran it, and they were like, "Oh, we've been doing this wrong the whole time. You're staying here in the 100-meter dash."
Were you just like, man, this is so easy?
Yeah. So back then, the big county meet was a big deal. I broke the school record that first meet, and there's all these kids around the city that are supposedly so fast. I dusted all those kids, went on the county meet, won the county meet. And you can actually look this up. Going into high school, I was the fastest kid in the state of North Carolina per track, I guess, NC mile split. And obviously, I stopped running outdoor track in high school and didn't take my speed training as serious. And so guys passed me pretty quick. But that was my claim to fame going into high school. I'm the fastest kid in the state.
As an eighth grader, being told that, how does that affect your ego? Are you just like...
Yeah, I had the biggest head going in high school, and I wasn't even a track guy. So,
What'd you play in football?
So early on, my football career, I was a running back, and I was pretty fortunate. We had a pretty good quarterback. He ended up signing and going to App State out of high school, and our O-line wasn't great, so they moved me out to receiver. My last 2 years there. And then my senior year, I kind of played some DB. I came in late in the game, played some cornerback, safety, just to, if we had a lead, try to keep that lead to us. So I played a little bit everywhere. I kind of labeled myself as an athlete in football.
Do you find there's any similarities between catching a ball as a wide receiver and catching a ball as an outfielder?
I've never thought about it. I guess maybe I feel yes and no. I feel like a ball in the outfield is kind of, especially in left field, the ball can be going everywhere. Ball stays pretty true when you're running routes and catching balls. And obviously you're catching with two hands instead of a glove. And so maybe on the deep balls where you're laying out and have to stick an arm out, there may be some similarity there, but not too much.
And which of the three was your biggest when you got to high school? Was it baseball, football, or track?
Probably football. So I had my older brother played college football at a Division II school called Fayetteville State. And I obviously played travel ball coming up, but my mom was a football mom at heart. She was yelling, rah-rah. And I looked up to my brother coming up as well. And so I wanted to be like big bro coming up when I got to high school. So I think football was the biggest thing for me originally. That obviously changed.
Yeah, around when did you start to focus on baseball?
I would say probably end of sophomore year, early junior year. I think that's when the offers started rolling in. And I had an older cousin who was probably 9 years older than me. He played college baseball at North Carolina A&T, which is super close to home. And he kind of took me under his wing, and we started hitting every day, throwing every day. And the training shifted from football to baseball. So probably end of sophomore year, early junior year, I would say.
Was there a point when you realized, oh man, I might actually, if not do this professionally, I might at least be able to like go to college and do this?
Yeah. So I originally thought that it would be college football, going into high school, but I think every person that's playing, most people that are playing professionally or that played at the Division I level can probably say they were the best in their area, in middle school and high school. And so it was pretty apparent to me at an early age that I was advanced and I was a pretty good athlete. And so that was always a dream since I can remember 5-6 years old to play something professionally. I played basketball growing up as a kid in the winter. So if you asked me in December, I was going to the NBA. If you asked me in August, I was going to the NFL. And if you asked me in April, May, I was going to the MLB. So that's kind of I've kind of had tunnel vision when it's come to sports. And if it wasn't baseball, I thought I was going to play some sport professionally since before I can remember. So,
do you remember the first baseball game you went to? The first professional one?
Oh, that's tough. One of the most memorable professional games that I can think of, MLB. I mean, I went to a lot of minor league games, but I do remember seeing Mariano Rivera pitching in Camden Yards, which he retired probably at this point 10 years ago. So I had to be pretty young then. Being from the South, we would go to Turner Field, and Turner Field hadn't been around for a while either. So I don't know which game was first. I can think of a couple Brave games at Turner Field, and I can think of the one where I saw Mo pitch at Camden Yards. So I remember that obviously it's Mariano Rivera, and it was one of his last years. So when he came in, everyone's up. They got their flip phones at the time, and they're recording them. That's probably the most memorable game as a young kid.
That must have been awesome to go to. I remember when it was David Ortiz's last year here. It's like every game, everybody's taking the pictures out for everything. With a reliever, the buildup is just so different. How are you doing over there, Hogdale? Is your Wi-Fi working a little better?
Apparently so, man. Apparently, I live in a perpetual state of poverty in terms of internet. It's a true tragedy, and I got to say that Mo retired like 10 years ago is very upsetting. Like, because I remember that like it was yesterday. Man, just time. It is a flat circle.
So with Clemson, what did you study when you got there?
Psychology. Kind of a last minute decision. I took a psychology class in high school, and I really wasn't a fan of school. And that was the one class where I was actually interested and engaged. And I'll learn all these things about the brain. That's pretty cool stuff. And I've got a pretty funny story of how I picked it. But yeah, it was a last minute decision. I had like 2 days left to pick a major and went with psychology because that was the only class that I can remember learning something interesting in high school.
And you ended up just kind of following through with the whole way through?
I stayed with it. Yeah. I tried to switch. I'm not gonna lie. I tried to switch my sophomore year in college, and my academic advisor, she basically shot me straight and said, "I think you're trying to get out of this because you want to take the easy way out, and I see way too much potential in you. So I'm not letting you change your major. And besides, if you change, you'll be in school for 5 years instead of 4." So I said, "Yep, I'm gonna stick with psychology."
He was like, you got me.
You got me.
So I actually, I was a psych major for my first 2 years, and then I switched out of it. And I don't know if this is the reason why you wanted to, but I didn't want to have to do the lab work. I really did not like. It just seemed it was too intimidating for me, and I ended up doing journalism instead.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. The lab work. I started taking labs. I started the statistics in psychology. I was like, wait, I don't remember doing this in high school. It was learning and writing and reading studies, but I didn't realize that when it came to studies, there was statistics and there were labs and experiments and all these things. And I was like, yeah, this isn't what I signed up for.
Yeah, no, they thought it's false advertising because I had to do the stats stuff for journalism. What am I gonna? And I mean, it's not stats like baseball stats. It's stats that I'm never gonna use any of this kind of math. Was it hard to keep up with the studies? Because you were, Hogdale was saying before we started, you were like a 3-time All-American scholar, right?
ACC, actually, but yeah.
ACC, okay.
It wasn't. So I think at Clemson we were spoiled. We did do our own work, contrary to popular belief. But we had mandatory study hall. We had tutors at our disposal that helped us. I'm sorry, I wasn't an English major clearly. But yeah, we had tutors that were there to help us. Our academic advisors were very helpful, and so as long as you had good time management skills, it was a breeze for the most part. There obviously were harder classes than others, but I didn't really have problems with my studies much throughout my college career.
So let's talk about the actual baseball there. Were you an outfielder when you got there?
I was. So I'm left-handed, so I'm kind of stuck out there. I'm not tall enough to play first base.
Yeah, you don't really see a lot of left-handed infielders. It's just not gonna be a thing. Do you have a favorite of the three spots to play?
Favorite center field. I feel like I'm able to just be an athlete and run the gaps out there, and that's the position I played growing up the most. So I feel like I'm most comfortable in center field.
Do you find the reads are different in center versus left and right?
Yeah. So obviously in center field for the most part everything's true. You'll get the occasional topspin ball, but in left field you've got righties hooking balls, you've got lefties flaring balls. And so you're kind of out there. You gotta be on your toes in left field for sure. And I think especially where today's game is, there's probably more righties than lefties in a lineup. So in right field, I feel like most of the balls are true. If a righty hits the ball out to you, it'll be true for the most part. And you will get the occasional lefty hooking a ball, but I feel like in right field everything's true. But yeah, left, you got to be on your toes out there.
So it looked like you had some injuries in 2018 and 2019, but then in 2020 you were the Clemson MVP.
Yeah.
But that was also the COVID year. So what happened those first 2 years for you? Like were they just freak injuries or was it a conditioning thing?
Yeah, so I remember the day of the draft in 2017. I was still in high school. Took a swing and felt the worst pain I've ever felt in my life in my hand. Had no idea what happened. I had a cyst on my wrist as well. My hand blew up like a balloon. Couldn't grab a bat. Couldn't do anything. And tried to keep it on the hush. It was the day of the draft in high school. Didn't want to be that guy going into college with an injury. And so finally I went to summer school at Clemson. Tried to hit with my buddies in the cage down there. Couldn't swing a bat. Finally went to the trainer, and him being a baseball guy, he knew exactly what it was. I had broke my handmate, the hook of my handmate in my right hand. And so before I even stepped foot on campus, I'm already injured. So I have surgery August 1st, 2017 to take that little bone out. And the handmate's weird. It's either a 2-week recovery or a 2-month recovery. So I'm trying to battle through my first fall. I'm bunting in most scrimmages. I'm just playing outfield, throwing, playing catch and everything, but I can't really hit fully. I'm finally able to start hitting. And October 24th, I'll never forget the day, last swing of the day. I'm getting comfortable, feeling good. Take a swing, and I've got a long one-handed finish. And my shoulder kind of like clicked a little bit.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Normal swing, and my shoulder clicked. So I took a back swing. And it didn't hurt. I wasn't in pain. It just was uncomfortable, and it was real weird. So I was thinking, I'm about to go out and try to catch a fly ball. Well, I tried to do this, clicked again, and I went to my trainer. I said, hey, this feels weird. My shoulder clicked on that last swing, and so he does a test on me. And I think he knew at the time, but didn't want to jump to a conclusion. I had an MRI that next morning, actually. And 3 or 4 hours later, I got news back that I had tore my right labrum, frayed my bicep, frayed my rotator cuff. So a week later, I was back under the knife, another surgery.
Oh my God.
Brutal.
I had a groin injury from high school football that I kind of kept on the hush. And honestly, we had a ton of MRIs that I always complained about it hurting. Nothing showed up. And finally, I had dye injected into my pelvis area. And they put me back under the MRI machine, found a tear in my groin. So as soon as my freshman year ended, I had groin surgery. So I hadn't even been on campus for a full year at this point. I've already had 3 surgeries. So I'm fighting back, and finally get healthy a little bit towards the back end of 2018, 2019 starts. were playing North Carolina or Notre Dame, and I remember telling my best friend, I was like, man, my quad is real tight. I'm running out there a fly ball in the 7th or 8th inning of that game, completely ruptured my quad and ended up missing all of 2019.
Oh my God. Does somebody, you and Chris Sale, somebody's got to have like a voodoo doll of you guys or something.
Yeah, it was bad. And so that caused me to miss all of 2019. And I think I was finally healthy. I was finally healthy 2020 and COVID-19 was introduced to the world. So that year was cut short as well.
I gotta ask you, just from hearing this, your pain tolerance must be something else. Like, I feel like if I had like a broken bone in my hand, like I don't know. I feel like it would be pretty hard for me to be like, no, it's fine. I'm fine. Don't worry about it. And then 2 weeks later or whatever it was, go to the trainer. Like, how are you getting through your day-to-day life with that?
Well, right now I've been healthy for I finished this entire 2022 healthy. My body feels better than it ever has since I can remember because I spent about 3 or 4 years dealing with injuries. So knock on wood, I've been feeling great lately. Yeah, a lot of ibuprofen though when I was dealing with those little nagging injuries.
You must. Is there a big difference that you noticed when you finally did get healthy out of all of that? After all that, you were kind of like, oh, that's how this is supposed to feel.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest thing too was mentally not feeling like I was walking on eggshells, because there was a time period in my career after the groin surgery, going into 2019 and even a little bit of 2020 where I was a little timid to go 100%. And I was I'm a pretty athletic guy, and I was an electric player coming into college. And so, I felt like I was afraid of getting hurt again. So it took a little bit for me to get adjusted mentally and tell myself, all right, it's okay, you're healthy, you can go out there and be yourself again.
So I might have read this wrong, but you were like a pretty highly scouted high school player as well. Were you drafted initially before getting to Clemson?
I was drafted 2017 by the Cubs.
And what was your decision like to go to college instead of going straight with the team?
Well, I think for most high school players, it's a financial decision. And I think the numbers just weren't there when I was in high school, and I valued a college education. Well, my dad valued a college education. And so the decision was made. I mean, we set a number before the draft, and that number wasn't met. And so it was a pretty easy decision actually to go on to Clemson and play my college career there.
Yeah, I read also that your dad was also a college baseball player. Did that impact your decision at all?
Not really. Are you saying to play college baseball instead of football, or to go to college?
Yeah, to play college baseball.
No. So funny story how I even came to choosing baseball over football. So great, never made a B, middle school, high school, great student, 3.5 at Clemson. But for whatever reason, I hated school. And I told myself when I was 13 or 14, before I started really taking baseball serious, I said, I told my parents, I don't want to go to school. I'm not going to college. I hate this. I'm not going to college, and I'm going to work my butt off, and I'm going to get drafted, and I'm going to sign out of high school. And I tell people this all the time. That was the decision. I didn't want to play college football because I never wanted to go to college in the first place. And turns out I went to college, but that was how I chose baseball over football. It was as simple as that.
It's kind of the almost the opposite of the stay in school kids message.
I'm playing myself out of school. I'm tired of this shit.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So 2021 comes around, and the draft's been shortened a little bit. It's 20 rounds now, and you didn't end up getting picked in those 20 rounds, but you were offered a contract by the Red Sox as a undrafted free agent. How did that? Did you, going into draft day, were you expecting to get drafted? And then afterwards, how did you, I guess, kind of cope with that not happening and then being contacted by the Red Sox?
Yeah, so I definitely was expecting to get drafted. I had an okay senior year. Wasn't anything too flashy, and I obviously dealt with a ton of injuries throughout my career, and so Was definitely expecting to get drafted. Everything really happened quick. Probably, I would say 30 minutes to an hour after the draft ended, I had a feeling, or I knew my agent called me and said, "Hey, you're signing with the Red Sox." He handled all of the talking to teams for me, so I really wasn't in contact with many teams or with teams at all on my, like, me personally. It was all my agent, and he gave me the call about an hour after the draft, and so it happened pretty quick. I didn't really have time to throw myself a pity party because obviously when I got that call, the excitement came in, and at the end of the day, I just told myself I wanted an opportunity to play at the next level, and it didn't matter if I was drafted in the first round or signed as a free agent. I just wanted an opportunity to go out and showcase myself and show why I'm valuable to an organization. So getting that call was honestly a dream come true, and I was super stoked and excited to get going. So
Yeah, and with it being the Red Sox, I saw on your Instagram that you were a Yankee in Little League.
yeah,
Did you have any feelings towards the Red Sox one way or the other when they drafted you?
no. So I actually in 2020 I met with the Red Sox, and I had an opportunity to sign as a free agent my junior year. And they gave me a big presentation a couple of days before the draft of how they did things and how talent was developed. And so, honestly, going into the draft this go around, I knew they were one of the teams that liked me still. And I actually texted my agent the morning of day 3, and I said, "I don't know how today's going to shake out, but I'm just telling you, like, now I want to be a Red Sox, and we can make that work out, whether it's in the draft or after the draft as it happened." But I love the way that the Red Sox go about things, and they kind of blew me away in 2020. And honestly, if it had not been for me only needing 20 more hours to get a degree, I wanted to sign in 2020. And so, yeah, I was going into the draft. I wanted to be a Red Sox, and it happened the way that I wanted it to. So I'm super grateful for that.
Man, and look how far you've come from not even wanting to go to college to skip it out on signing with the Red Sox a year earlier. That's a good, I think that's maturity, right?
Absolutely.
So, what was it about the presentation that blew you away? Like how they do things differently than another team that you might have gone to?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was they just take pride in their farm system, and they take pride in developing homegrown talent. And it doesn't matter if you're a first rounder or 40th rounder or undrafted free agent. Everyone's going to get the same treatment. Everyone's going to get the same opportunities. Everyone's going to get the same development, not just only from a player standpoint, but as a person. They care about their players, and just you look at the guys that they've developed and dished out over the last 10 or so years. I don't think there's many organizations out there that can say the same thing. And so I think that was the biggest thing for me. I wanted to go somewhere where I was going to become a better player, obviously, but also a better man. And so I was one of the few, I guess. The bright thing about being an undrafted free agent is you kind of get to pick where you want to go. So I think that was the biggest thing that stuck out to me through the whole process.
And then getting to the Florida Complex League last year and everything, what was that experience like? Because just from the numbers that I saw, it looked like there was a little bit of a gradual process, and then following you in 2022, looks like it took you a little bit to get going, but then when you got going, you just blew up.
Yeah, it was a big difference. I think I honestly had no idea what to expect. I will say we were spoiled at Clemson as far as facilities went, and the full complex leagues obviously spring trainings for the facilities are second to none there. But facilities and having a game-like atmosphere. I don't know if you've been to an FCO game, but I say a good crowd is probably 100 people. And so that was the biggest difference, the biggest shock. Obviously, it's professional baseball and the competition is better. But I was definitely a little shell shocked.
Oh, you're cutting out a little bit there.
Oh, thank God! I thought it was me.
No, it wasn't you. He's cutting out a little bit. Man, this has been really interesting so far, though, Hogdale.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, we might end up cutting some of this out and editing while Kier's Wi-Fi gets back to normal.
Dude, shout out to the internet. You know, mankind's greatest invention, but we still can't fucking get it right.
Yeah, it's been screwing with. I'm next. It was screwing with you, then now it's screwing with him. Like,
that's what we do here.
I think I'm back.
Well,
Oh.
yeah. Well, we hear you. The screen still isn't moving, but we heard you there. Thank God for editing. You know, that's the only thing that can counter out internet flakiness.
True. Absolutely true.
Yeah, let's just keep a note of when it was around 30 minutes in, just so we can cut it.
Yeah, makes it convenient. I actually think it was like right around the 30-minute mark. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just remember when we there was some stuff with what I did a couple weeks ago with Nate Tellier, and it's just like editing on this platform is not the easiest thing in the world.
100%.
But it'll it's great. It'll come back. We'll cut however many minutes it is out of it, and we'll keep going.
The show must go on, and so forth.
Yeah, we have 2 people watching this right now, so I wonder how this is. Sorry for the technical difficulties. 2 people watching this.
Yeah, right. That happens.
Yeah,
it's inevitable. Like,
dude. A couple weeks ago, I was doing one of these with Tim, and I got booted in the middle of the opening intro when Tim ended up having to take it. And okay, I saw him move for a second. For a split second. I'm always worried that I'm going to be making the worst possible face when that happens.
Oh, same. Yeah, it's like we're all. I'm not attractive to begin with. Like, I don't need the ugly frozen still shot face.
I don't know, Hogdale. I don't think that's. I don't know, man. You're being too hard on yourself here. I need the Hogdale frozen face.
Oh yeah, I bet.
I mean, how weird would you find it if I just showed up for a recording one day and I was wearing a shirt with your face on it? Would that be weird? I didn't let you know beforehand or anything. I just split second there. Huh.
Okay.
Wait, I did a remove and then add, and that didn't help. Wait, okay, it looks like it's making the thinking thing.
Yeah, it was not doing that before.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm totally getting a Hogdale shirt. Or
good deal,
maybe
man.
not a Hogdale shirt, but when you go to an amusement park and you see the mascots?
Yeah, 100%.
Maybe a Hogdale mascot suit. I'll just wear an 8-foot version, Hogdale bodysuit,
Sapphire, do you want to make an appearance?
Okay, I think Kier's back.
Good deal.
Okay, hey.
All right.
Okay, you're moving again. Awesome.
Perfect. Okay.
We'll take that part. We'll take that part out in editing. We're just gonna start with a fresh question here. So how was Salem this year for you? Ah, shit. Oh man.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. That's so fucking funny. No.
What if he was doing this on purpose? He was just like this is just okay. Wait, moving again. Okay, I think you're moving again. Okay, there we go. There we go.
God,
peak comedy. That's what that was. Exactly. So how was Salem after you started there this year? How did you notice a big difference in the play between college ball and low A?
Yeah, I would even say low A is probably a tick above college ball. I mean, I think guys are playing professionally for a reason. I told someone, they asked me, some kid I guess heard that ACC SEC ball was comparable to Double A. I've never been a Double A, so I can't say he's right or wrong. But I will say, I told the kid, I said, hey, I've got teammates at Clemson that are working construction right now. They're not playing professionally for a reason. And so, yeah, I mean, I think low A was probably a tick above college ball, and I enjoyed it. I had a blast. guys are just more talented in professional baseball.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like you were getting, as the season went on, you were just getting more and more and more playing time, and then you were just starting every day by the end of it. Was it tough for you to kind of just be watching at the beginning of it before you got your opportunity?
100%. I did a lot of watching in college, and obviously that was out of my control. I was unhealthy, and this was out of my control as well. But I had never in my life sat and not have been because of an injury. And so that was definitely tough to get adjusted to. But I just tried to show up every day and be a great teammate and be ready when my number was called on. And I felt like I did that well, and I was ready when July and August rolled around.
How much fun did you have stealing bases? Because you were just you were real. I'd make a case that you were the best base stealer, not named David Hamilton in the organization. Which, sorry, but he stole 70 bases.
Yeah, I heard some crazy stories about him stealing bases where guys were pitching out and they knew he was going. And yeah, but to answer your question, I had a blast. I think that was part of what made me in high school. You can look at the numbers. I might have had 10 to 15 stolen bases in college, and so I think that was a part of my game that was lacking, and it wasn't there in college. And so, being in professional baseball, that's one thing I wanted to do: show my speed and just have a blast. And so I take pride in my base running. I take pride in stealing bases, and so to be able to go out there and do it this year, it was great.
Did you have any times there, like you were saying about Hamilton, where everybody in the park knew you were going, and you just kind of took it anyway?
People might have thought that I was going and I still was able to get the bag, but no one ever pitched out on me. And so for him to be able to steal a base while someone's pitching out, that's a pretty incredible feat.
Do you are there any players that you would kind of compare your game to? Because just looking at I unfortunately haven't been able to go down to Salem at all. But just looking at your numbers, draw a lot of walks, hit for a decent enough average, steal a ton of bases. You seem, like a fast center fielder, like a leadoff type. Is that kind of how you see your game?
100%. Leadoff. I grew up hitting leadoff. This year I spent a lot of time in the 9-hole, and I moved up to the 7-hole a little bit. But ideally, in a perfect world, everyone wants to be a leadoff center fielder. But also you have to be versatile, and I can't be too versatile with being left-handed. But yeah, and like I said, in an ideal world, it would be leadoff center field. But I'm comfortable in the 2-hole. I'm comfortable in the 7, 6, 7, 8, 9, wherever a team sees fit.
How'd you hit a home run this year? What was different about how'd you go yard? I've heard that Salem Stadium is an absolute cavern. Like guys like Blaze Jordan were struggling to hit it out there.
Yeah, speaking of that, I saw Blaze hit a 400, and I guess it's 405 at center. He hit a 404-foot single.
Oh no!
And anywhere, he didn't pimp it. It wasn't his fault. Bases were loaded, and he hit a ball, and obviously the guys got to tag up because it was just a sky fly ball. And anywhere in the country, this ball is leaving the stadium by 500 feet, and the ball hits the top of the wall. And so the guys in front of him can't go anywhere, and the outfielders camped under the wall. And he got it in pretty quick. But, Salem was a graveyard for sure. I actually hit the home run in Kannapolis. And so, yeah, I just kind of ambushed a 1-0 fastball, and Kannapolis is a lot more of a hitter-friendly park, and it just squeaked out of right field. So,
did you get to keep the ball?
So we went out there and tried to find the ball. There was a construction site behind the stadium, and the ball bounced over into the construction site. And I'm not gonna lie, I was very tempted to hop that fence that said "Do not hop. You will be prosecuted for trespassing." But
just be like, try and catch me. This is my ball.
Yeah, I didn't want to go to jail that night, so I let the ball. Hopefully, a construction worker got it now. I'm sure a construction worker does have it, but no.
I'm sure there have been multiple balls hit over there before, but that's got to be such a minor league thing also, where it's like, yeah, there's just a construction site right behind this stadium. Like even I go to a lot of games over in Worcester, and even they're doing a ton of construction. What was your favorite ballpark to play at last year?
Ooh, that's tough. Favorite ballpark. Annapolis was sweet. I feel like I had a pretty good week there, so I'm a little biased. Delmarva was a nice stadium. Honestly, maybe Charleston. I feel like Charleston, pretty clean surface, great crowd. They drew a great crowd there. So yeah, probably Charleston. There was a lot of Clemson fans, with that being South Carolina. So it was somewhat of a home game. And yeah, Columbia was nice, but they were a little hostile there with South Carolina being close by.
Did anybody there remember you from your Clemson days?
A few fans did, and whoever was working the sound box or the PA announcer definitely did. My first at bat or second at bat in Columbia on Tuesday night, I struck out. And I'm sure you've all heard the Ed Ogeron, "Go Tigers," that whole thing. Well, they play that over the sound system as I'm walking back to the dugout. And
Amazing.
I laugh. I actually enjoyed it. So
I mean, that's one of those things where it's like, I'm not even mad. Thank you for putting the effort in for this.
Yeah.
That's definitely like one of those. Yeah, like what exactly? Like you see, I've seen that a bunch in like AAA where it'll be like somebody's name and they'll play a song that has like the person's name in it. I haven't seen them actually targeting somebody because of their college though. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was clever for sure.
Of the guys that you were playing with, who did you feel you learned the most from watching?
Ooh, learned the most from watching. Ooh. Honestly, a pitcher, Tyler Uberstein. Obviously, in pro ball and baseball in general, you see a lot of guys that are just freakishly gifted. But I think Ubi would tell you himself that he isn't the most gifted guy out there, but the way he goes about his work, his process, his attention to detail, all of it just screams professional. Great guy, but just the days he started, he came in, he had a routine, and he didn't waver from that routine. And I think you saw that paid off for him this year. He had some success. And had a pretty good year, I would say. But probably just the way he went about his work, it was a lot. And there's a lot of guys that I can name. Nico Gavadas, Blaze Jordan, Marcelo Meyer, Christopher Troy. There were a lot of great guys in that locker room, but I think the guy that stuck out the most was probably Ubi.
Listed a bunch of very talented players there, and it's pretty cool how just over the last few years how much talent the minor leagues for the Red Sox has grown. You know, like there are some really, really impressive guys there. And the thing that strikes me, I always think back to this. Was back in July. We had Corey Rosier on, who was one of the guys that came over with Eric Hosmer in that trade. And he was talking a little bit about it because I think Nico had come up at that point, and it was like Nico Cavadas and Joe Davis and all these other guys. And he just said iron sharpens iron. And that really struck me as if you have good guys in the organization, it's going to help everybody else improve. Where do you see yourself for next season, for the 2023 season?
I have no clue. You kind of don't. I'm sure, as you know, you kind of don't find that out until spring training. Hopefully, obviously, I would love to move up a level. One, you're moving up a level. Two, for me personally, this is 30 minutes from Clemson. I'm actually in Greenville right now doing this interview, and so Greenville is an unbelievable city, and so yeah, hopefully that's where I am. But obviously, that's outside of my control, and I'll show up in spring training ready to go wherever they'll have me next year.
But you must be excited for it. Just getting back out there. I'm sure it's been like a fun month back. But at what point do you think you're just going to be itching for some games?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm a homebody. I obviously love the season, and I can go as long as I need to go. But once the off season starts, and I'm around family. I'm enjoying that time with my family, and I'm enjoying the time off. But probably, February, early March, I'll be itching to get back out in the field. I guess when the high school season will start around here in mid-February, and college baseball will be kicking off in mid-February. So when I see other guys out in the field, I'll be itching to get out there. But I've been enjoying that time off so far.
Is it tough being that far away from your family when you're on the road?
So I was fortunate enough. Salem was an hour and 45 from Winston-Salem, which is where I'm from originally, and only 4 hours from Clemson. And we played a lot of games in South Carolina, played I guess Augusta is North Augusta in South Carolina, but we played close to home for me. So I was fortunate enough to not be too far from family. But one of my best friends was out in Washington State this year playing, and I obviously saw the impact they had on him. So yeah, I can't answer that question one way or another because I don't feel like I was out on the road too far to the point where I feel like it would affect me. So I guess that is your answer. I didn't think it was too tough for me.
Yeah, definitely some advantages to playing with a system that's right by home. Was your family coming to the games a lot?
Yep. So my mom was able to come up, easy drive up I don't even know what highway that is from Winston-Salem to Salem, but it wasn't too bad of a drive at all.
Was she disappointed that you went with baseball over football? Because you were saying she was a football mom before.
Yeah, she wasn't disappointed, but she definitely probably would have preferred me choosing football. And even if you ever get to come to a game when she's in the stands, you'll know who my mom is from the jump. It used to embarrass me, but now it's just like that's my mom, and my teammates are like, I love it. But she's up there screaming, cheering for everybody, and I'm like, Mama, we are not at a football game right now. But yeah, it didn't disappoint her. But she probably would have preferred if I went the football route for sure.
What do you do when you're not playing baseball? Because I know you were, I'm assuming as a kid you were playing 3 sports, so you're running all over the place. But like you coach now and you do the conditioning, but like what do you do for fun when you're not doing baseball?
Love just hanging out with friends, watching TV. Like you said, I'm coaching right now. So right now, most of my time is being consumed with coaching and giving lessons and helping out, but really just hanging out with friends. Here in Clemson, Greenville area, there's a lot of hikes and trails you can go on, and love to go hiking, love walking, going out on trails and just spending time outside. Used to be last year, if you'd asked me this question, it would have been straight MLB The Show, Madden 22. But I don't know how I miss video games. I think what it was, the PlayStation 5 came out, and I told myself I'm not spending that much money to waste that much time right now.
Yep.
Maybe if I make it, I'll get a PlayStation 5, or maybe by the time I make it, the 6 will be out. But I love video games, but I haven't played in the last year, so I can't really say that's what I spend my free time with now. But anything with family or friends, getting outside, going out. I love eating. So yeah.
Do you like to cook at all or just eat?
Just eat. I hate cleaning up. So. Just eat.
Do you ever think about, like, with MLB The Show, like I could theoretically play as myself at some point?
That would be pretty cool. Yeah. A lot of guys in college are excited about the road to the show coming back out. They bring NCAA back, but to be able to have an actual, like, real live Kier Meredith, the Road to Glory, or Road to the Show, or Road to Glory is NCAA, but Road to the Show is MLB. But yeah, to have a Kier Meredith Road to the Show would be pretty sick.
Were you a PlayStation kid growing up?
PlayStation originally, PS1, PS2. PS3 came out, and I got an Xbox 360 for whatever reason. Then I ended up getting the PS4. But yeah, I definitely prefer Sony over Microsoft. I think it's Microsoft Xbox.
Yeah.
The thing that got me, so PlayStation used to get free internet, and like
oh my God,
people remember that. That was the biggest thing. It's like internet's free. Well, now they were leaving so much money on the table. I don't blame them, but jeez.
Yeah, I don't even. So I was always Nintendo, and it wasn't really a brand loyalty thing. It was just that's what my parents would buy me, and that's, you know what I mean. Like, I wasn't going to complain about, oh, cool. Oh, I didn't want this video game system. I wanted the other one. So, but as a result, I didn't remember PlayStation having free internet. I never played Crash Bandicoot. I never played like Halo or any of that stuff. I was kind of stuck in my little bubble with that.
Yeah.
So just before we head out, I always ask this: do you have any pets?
I don't. I've never had pets. I was a messy kid, not messy as in dirty, but just clothes are everywhere. My room was never clean, and my parents always told me, if you can't keep your room clean, then I know you can't take care of an animal. So there were never any pets in the Meredith household.
How about you, Hogdale? You got anything else you want to ask?
Yeah, real quick, like we touched a bit on COVID around during the interview, but I was wondering because must have been like a really brutal time period, especially like getting into minor league baseball. Like, what was that situation like? Dealing with COVID as a new minor leaguer.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough. If I can think, I think last year. I don't think we were getting tested when I first signed, but we definitely were masked up. Apparently, spring training of 2021 was brutal. They were playing in masks. I think they had masks on the dugout. I think I wasn't there, so I obviously don't know, but it was definitely you had to be more disciplined. You couldn't live a free life. Like I remember my senior year. So I turned 21 September of my senior year. So I was a young kid or young, whatever. And I actually did things right. Never had a fake ID, never went out in college or anything. And so 21, my birthday came around, and that's like the height of COVID, September 2020. And so I wasn't able to go out because our coaches were super, super worried about that in college. But definitely had to miss out on a lot and kind of isolate myself. And it did wear on me at times mentally. And I feel like I'm a social butterfly at times. So not being able to go out and do things was definitely tough. But this past year, I think there was I don't want to say a breakout, but for whatever reason, I think there were a couple of days in spring training where masks were required. But for the most part, it was a pretty clean year. I don't think I was ever in the locker room to share with any guys that had COVID. And so, yeah, it was pretty good for us for the most part.
Hey, good deal.
Really glad to hear that. So where can people find you if they want to follow you online or keep up with what you're up to?
Yeah, so I'll keep everything super simple. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everything is just at Kier Meredith. First and last name, no numbers, no underscores. I keep everything straight to the point.
Straight to the point, easy
nice
to remember.
and easy.
Keep it simple. Love it. So yeah, thanks again so much for joining us. We'll definitely be keeping up with you throughout the season, giving people updates on how you're doing. And, hopefully all goes well and you can come back sometime. But thank you so much for coming. This is a lot of fun, and best of luck for the rest of the off season and beyond.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys for having me on.
Anytime. We'll see y'all.
Are you looking at him?
No, you got to be kidding me.
Time.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Pesky Report. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review.
Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Sports Podcast Network product. Some said we go belly up, so we made it our name, and we're still here.